I'm sitting strapped down in a chair, and I'm nearly blinded by a bright light hanging above me. Suddenly, there is a terrible screaming noise. I know I need to escape, but I can't move in the restraints, so I start screaming too. The sound is unbearable and suffocating until I manage to break free and I sit up, only to realize, with a mixture of shock and relief, that it was just a nightmare. I'm in my cell, sitting in my bed, and the terrible sound was just the wake-up alarm echoing through the halls of this maximum security prison. It's 5 a.m. Today will be just another day spent waiting, because I am an inmate on death row, and in 1 month, I will be executed by lethal injection. Being alone has taken an enormous toll on my psyche. I regularly experience nightmares and hallucinations. I haven't slept well in years. My day begins with breakfast, which comes on a tray handed to me through a slit in my cell's door. To eat, the only utensil I'm allowed is a spork. For the majority of my day, I will remain in my 6 by 10 foot cell, completely isolated. The walls are concrete, and there is just one tiny window to the outside. Each hour, prison guards walk by to take count of the inmates. Because I have no one else to talk to, I talk to myself, in an attempt to stay focused on reality. Will I be able to preserve my sanity as my execution date approaches? My daily routine is strict and varies little. As inmates sentenced to the harshest form of punishment available, what we can and cannot do has been debated extensively over the years. People disagree over whether or not solitary confinement is inhumane or just a necessary security precaution, and whether or not leisure activities are privileges we do not deserve. Because of these disagreements, death row inmates' routines vary across states and facilities. Some places, for example, do not allow prisoners to participate in work duty, or to earn money, or to spend time outdoors regularly. Some don't allow interaction with other inmates, and others restrict which days inmates can shower. I am lucky to have some small enjoyments in this prison, such as a television which is kept outside my cell bars. I appreciate this not because it provides entertainment. To me, it is a reminder of normal life outside in the real world. On a good day, I can spend up to 2 hours out of my cell, getting to shower, being outside in the recreational yard, or getting a brief visit from a family member. Today, I will get to spend an hour at my favorite place in the prison, the library. My focus since my conviction and sentencing, like so many on death row, has been to work on my appeal. Having brief access to this library has helped with legal research throughout this process. I borrow books, take notes, and even though we don't have internet, I can use computers for research. Most of the inmates here live for decades, and the appeals process is mostly to blame for this. It takes time for this state to find and appoint legal counsel for us, and scheduling delays exacerbate the problem. On average, inmates spend over 15 years on death row, and many wait much longer. We are more likely to die of natural causes before ever getting a state-sanctioned execution. After my own conviction and sentencing to death, I first made a direct appeal. Most sentenced to death appeal. In fact, in some states, they are automatically given an appeal. Appeals can work their way all the way up to the state's highest court. In some states, they must be accepted by the state's Supreme Court. Most of my fellow inmates do not pursue appeals beyond the state courts. During this process, we are limited to the evidence of the record, that is, presented during the original trial. A successful appeal can completely or partially overturn the lower court's conviction. Unfortunately for me, the state courts denied my appeals. However, I still haven't exhausted my legal options, because I was able to file a writ of habeas corpus. For this, I was appointed a different lawyer, which took several more years of waiting. Writs deal with constitutional rights issues, and unlike a direct appeal, allow off-the-record information to be brought forward that was not in my first trial. Newly discovered evidence, insufficient counsel, and juror misconduct are all reasons that they can be filed. During my original trial, there was a Brady violation, which means the prosecution withheld evidence that could have helped my defense case. Although my writ of habeas corpus was denied in the state courts, I was able to file with the federal district court. Yet, as each denial comes in, I am slowly running out of legal options. Hopefully today, my attorney will be able to provide an update from the federal court. In theory, my appeal could make its way to the federal appellate court. If that fails, I can bring it to the U.S. Supreme Court. The Supreme Court takes very few death row cases, and once they deny an appeal, that means the appeals process has been officially exhausted. At that point, a convict's only hope is being granted executive clemency, but this is incredibly rare. My scheduled execution date is for next month, though it has been delayed before. If it isn't, I will face lethal injection, the primary method used today. Though some states do technically allow death by hanging, lethal gas, electrocution, and even firing squad. It's hard to feel afraid about the actual execution anymore. I don't worry about feeling pain, although I worry about what will come after death. After so many years, I wonder now if I will be more relieved on my execution day than fearful. When my attorney visits, I'm handcuffed and we must be separated by a glass wall, as is the process for every visitor we have. I'm relieved to find out that my execution has been delayed again. A federal judge has requested a hearing with new evidence. When I return to my cell, I'm feeling so accomplished about this small legal success that I decide to put together a letter for my family. Every year, the prison takes our photograph so that we have a picture to mail home for the holidays, and I just got a new picture to send to them. I'm lucky to have support outside of this system. It keeps me going through this never-ending appeals process. Truthfully, I can't imagine this appeals process ever ending in a release, or even an execution. But if I can focus on the end goal, maybe things will turn out differently for me, and I will get a second chance at life.